It's time for the weekly edition of the top 10 selling cards on the reserve list. That's right, guys. From January 27th to February 3rd of 2024, these were the hottest and most selling cards on the reserve list. We even have a reserve list card in the top 10 that cracked over $100,000 in volume sales. Let's check it out. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for coming and hanging out with me for the weekly edition of the top 10 selling reserve list cards. Now, a reminder that if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. New content every day. And of course, if you're shopping for any of the cards you see in today's video, don't forget to use my affiliate link found in the description of this video. Let's check out our number 10 card this week, coming to us from Visions. This is Undiscovered Paradise. Of course, 42 sales, a sales volume of $432 this week is nothing huge, guys. It's a very small amount of volume, but as you can see, this card actually does some pretty big things. It says add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool at the beginning of your next untap phase. Return Undiscovered Paradise to its owner's hand. Landfall decks really enjoy this card, and when we know it's been as high as $65 US, this is nothing to sneeze at. The price difference in these cards right now make them very obtainable and desirable for players who haven't seen the slight turning effect that we've been noticing in reserve list volume sales. The overall sales are uptrending, and a lot of these prices are actually starting to reflect a higher interest in reserve list cards. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the number 9 card coming to us from the dark. This is City of Shadows making another appearance in the top 10. 58 sales this week with a total sales volume of $3,288.60. Yes, it only has an average price of $56.70. And yep, this card has been over $300 US at its height. Sorry, $300 Canadian. $240 US was its height, I believe. But this card, again, like other cards we've been talking about, is making these small turns and small increases in pricing. And it's maybe only be a $2 here, a $3 every few weeks, but that's still an overall volume of 1 or 2% more month over month. It's really starting to gain a little bit more momentum than you're hearing on other YouTube channels. So keep an eye on the reserve list cards you're after. It might be time to hit them sooner rather than later. Now let's stop by and check out our number 8 card this week. Coming to us all the way from Weatherlight, we are checking out Abeyance. This card's only $10. It's a very inexpensive card. Total sales volume, $613.66 for the 61 sales this week. Of course, it is an instant for 1 white, 1 generic that says, until end of turn, target player cannot play instants, interrupts, sorceries, or abilities requiring an activation cost, and you get to draw a card. This card actually offers a lot of flavor, a lot of ability in commander decks, as well as other formats. I've actually used this numerous times inside my War and Peace deck with cards like Peace Talks, Orm's Chant. You can mess people up, okay? It's amazing with Isochron Scepter what you can do when you start linking some of these amazing cards together. And of course, from Weatherlight means we're not really going to see a lot of these boxes opened anymore, but yes, there are some still out there, and the prices are actually surprisingly low on sealed product right now. I wonder why. Now, the next card is coming to us from Antiquities. This one kind of comes out of the blue, everyone. This is Transmute Artifact. Now, you probably see there at the monthly change in price, it's had a real upshift. It barely beats out Abeyance, but it takes the number 7 spot with 62 sales this week. The total sales volume is $22,616.98. It's still a very expensive card, but what it has going for it more than makes up for that price difference for players who can afford to grab it. The thing I found interesting is when I checked in with some people, I found there was a lot of people actually looking for this card, but they're looking for it in heavily played condition. They're not trying to find that top tier quality card. They just want the real deal. They don't want proxies. They don't want fakes. They want the real card. So where does that lead players off? Well, it means you're still going to spend around $240 US for heavily played, depending on where you're looking. So keep your eyes out. This card is not trending down in price. Be aware of that, guys. It's not getting any cheaper. It's actually going up. It went up about 20 bucks this month, a little bit more. Keep an eye on that, okay? These cards kind of are doing this weird thing right now where, depending on the condition, it's going to cost you something. Okay. Time for the card of the channel to make a comeback from alliances is sevi Excavations, taking the number 6 spot with 64 sales this week, or a total sales volume of $821.12. $12.83 is the average price for sevi. For that scrying ability, you get to have to sacrifice a land, but it does tap for 2 land, which kind of makes up for it if you can make sure this thing doesn't get eliminated from the battlefield. The scry ability is underrated in my opinion. I've always enjoyed it. That's why it's the card of my channel. And of course, a lot of these sales right here are from the MOX man himself. So keep that in mind. This is just me buying up some copies, as well as the regular few copies it sells every week. Nothing big going on here. Just look the other way. Let the price fall. Ignore it. It didn't happen. All right. Let's go ahead now and take a look again at Weatherlight, and here we have the Debt of Loyalty. This thing has been on its 3rd week run here on the top 10. We're starting to get that feeling that this card's just not going away, okay? $629.29. This thing is less than $10 per copy at $8.74 US. Remember when Fastbond managed to stay on this top 10 for like 2.5 months, week over week? It hasn't been here for a while because everything's simmered down. This card right now seems to be going through some kind of resurgence. I know some decks are using it and playing it in Commander as well as some other formats, but I look at it and say it's not going to be a big biting card. It's never going to hit back up to that $30, $40, $50 level, but it could reach a standard price of like 25 bucks across the board based on availability and playability. So if it's a card you want, it's still a very reasonable price. I still say pick up 4 copies if you can afford it. You can have some fun times with it if you can put it together. Now our next card coming to us from Stronghold. Again, MOX Diamond. This card is amazing, but it's also very expensive. So what's going on? 77 sales this week, $52,359.23 in overall sales volume. The people buying this card, these players, and they are players, this is not speculation, these players are looking for heavily played, damaged, and moderately played versions, okay? They're not looking for the near mint. Same as we just talked about, these are players looking for playable cards that they can enjoy and don't have to worry so much about the condition. But that means there's actually been a little bit of a pressure on this card, and that's why you're seeing the price upshift like 40 bucks this month. It's slowly trending upwards. Nothing huge, but 40 bucks is still 40 bucks. That's nothing to ignore. That's like half a Shieldred being taken off the table there just because people decided to put some pressure onto the supply and just see how it holds up. And it's not holding up well if the price is adjusting this much. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at our next card. It's coming to us from Revised. Yep, we're talking about Taiga again. Revised Edition Taiga, $373.10. So that means with 98 sales, this thing had $36,500 plus of sales volume. That's crazy. But just like MOX Diamond, we have to understand the market and the market demands as well as the expectations. MTG Finance, it's the people who make that market up, and the people who are speaking right now, heavily played, moderately played, even damaged. The exact same as MOX Diamond. The players who want these cards want the real deal. Again, doesn't seem to be any speculation here. Just players taking advantage. Instead of paying the top dollar of like almost $400 US, they're paying the $210 to $220. But understand, this card has still gone up $20 plus this month. Something's going on. And again, we're staying with Revised because even our next card, something's still going on. This is Copy Artifact again, Revised Edition. You can see for the last 3 weeks, this card has been here at 154 sales. Let's take a moment and breathe. This card was at 40 bucks. Now it's at 75. It has doubled its price in the last 3 weeks, basically. The pressure on this card means that the monthly change in price you'll see there in the bottom corner is basically what the card cost 2.5 weeks ago. Guys, this is FOMO right now. I would steer away from the card. The people buying it are just buying it irrationally. This card right now should not be rising this fast. Steer clear. You're kind of falling into the FOMO trap. Let's wait 120 days and see how this one pans out. In my opinion, it's getting too hot too quick, and that means that it can fall really quickly. But that's the number 2 card with $11,000. It's time to check out the number 1 card this week, and it blew my mind, and hopefully you'll understand why. Revised Edition Underground Sea. I told you guys in the video a card went over 100K. 170 sales even from the 27th to February 3rd. That is $135,573 of sales volume if they were all near mint. Of course, they're not all near mint. This is the exact same repeating story I'm talking about in the entire video, guys. We are seeing the masses of Magic want old reserve list cards, but they don't want the near mint. They want to get cheap, they want to get real, and they don't care if it's damaged, moderately played, or heavily played, because those are the most obtainable copies for a player. They're buying the beat up versions because they can afford it and it's still cheap enough, but just like the other cards, you guys can see it went up almost 50 bucks this month alone for this one card from Revised. Now, let's stop over here and take a look at the honorable mentions that didn't make the top 10, but we do have to talk about these cards today. So first is going to be Guardian Beast. This is from Arabian Nights. Remember, protects all your artifacts from being destroyed. A very crazy, fun card. And it's been, a couple $1,000 during the hype. It's really fallen down. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a few sales trickle in. And this thing's up almost, 50 bucks this month? 58 and change? It's just creeping up. And that leads us to our next honorable mention. And this is Alley of Cairo. This has only gone up a couple of bucks. But there wasn't a lot of supply on the market. And the people looking for these, by the way, the Guardian Beast in particular, were looking for near mint. So please keep that in mind. I think these are people doing set collecting. This doesn't appear to be players out there who are playing with the cards, okay? Same with Ali. It's gradable copies. Now, next card is coming to us from Alliances. This is Lake of the Dead. It's only upshifted about a buck or two. Nothing huge. But month over month, you can see there's a slight trend in the card. And the pressure, and because of the availability from Alliances, it's just not a lot of supply right now, and the card seems to be getting eaten up a bit on the market. So don't be surprised if this shoots up another 5 to 10 bucks next month, okay? And our last card I want to share with everyone, and I think this is because of Bloomborough and things coming around with Modern Horizons 3, it's only gone up $1 or $2, but I talked about it earlier this year. Deranged Hermit is still really cheap. If you get a moderately played copy for 25 bucks, you're doing pretty good, right? And it just seems like people are starting to pay attention again and just pick off a few copies. If you need it, buy it now while you still can. Let's get to the wrap up. There are definitely whispers going on with reserve list cards right now. No store still wants to touch them, I'll tell you that. If they happen to get some in super cheap, they're happy to have those cards, but they're not seeking them out. But players are buying them. They are buying them either from eBay, TCG Player, Card Market, Card Kingdom, the Snowballs, the Castle Kingdoms, wherever they can find it, they're picking them up. But the actual LGS tends to stay away unless they get a banger deal. So what does this mean for the players out there who think that the cards are going to go lower? Well, they're going to miss the market. It doesn't matter if they think they're going to go lower. You've mistimed it, and you can miss that opportunity because we've enjoyed prices being so low. Players thought it would keep going on forever. Players get that fallacy in their head. Real people get it in their head that it's always going to go a certain way. It is ever changing. Getting the best deal that you are comfortable with is more important than trying to get the lowest price. It's what you find acceptable. And if there are cards out there you've been trying to get your hands on, you may have mistimed this moment, and maybe you've just missed out on $50 of savings depending on the card you're after, but there is definitely a slow trickle of an uptrend. It's just kind of been shifting up in price, $2 here, $3 there, and it's happening week over week. Things like we were seeing with the buyout of Copy Artifact. That should be like a sounding alarm. That's not a card I expected to spike like that. I'm glad I caught it. I'm glad I got to report on to all of you what's going on, but it seems like more dual lands, a lot of MOX Diamond. There's a lot of key, more expensive cards shifting in the market, and they're trending up in price. That uptrend may not be reported by big channels right now, but they are going to start noticing it. They're going to start kind of making some reports on it and letting you guys know what's going on. You may have heard it here first, but I'm not the biggest channel out there putting the noise out so people are aware of it. So you may have a few weeks left. You may have a month or two left. Take advantage if there's cards you want. Enjoy the low prices. They may be here for months and months to go, or they could turn around and disappear. Either way, it's kind of fun to see what's going on, because I love to see that, to know that my reserve list cards are coming back up in value. Okay, everyone loves to hear that, but that doesn't mean, again, that it's really going back up in value. Depends on the condition, depends on the cards being looked after, right? If I'm only after a certain copy, I need to have a heavily played. I want to spend 40-50% less than a near mint copy. Means the guys who are doing the speculating, the guys with the BGS 10s, they're not having any market movement at all. It's the low end, ungraded, playable cards that get sleeved up and used in everyday decks. Keep that in mind, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the channel. I will carry this discussion on during the live stream tonight. Don't forget, guys, for if you're on my Patreon, today is the monthly giveaway. We're going to have some fun. I look forward to seeing you guys there, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time tonight. Have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, bring a friend to Magic. Thank you, and a big shout out to all the fantastic patrons we have here on the channel, showing their support each and every day and allowing for daily uploaded content for everyone to enjoy. Thanks again for being my supporters. Have a great day. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You're here at the end, my friends, and I gotta tell you, pretty fun stuff, pretty spicy. For those guys who hang out with me a lot, yes, the gentlemen were involved. And they did accumulate 40 copies of Underground Sea. 40. Not all those, but 40. Okay? And they did buy from a whole bunch of bigger retailers. I remember they're kind of spread over the world, like a little cadre of guys, I guess. Because I noticed when they get me the receipts, they're kind of like from different places in the world. Okay? So it's interesting to see, but either way, sales are happening. It's good to know what's going on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being part of the Ramble Jamble and hanging out at the end. But you know what that means? I want blue. Oh my God, what happened to my hair? I think I just messed things up. That's what happens when you wash your hair early in the morning. Yeah, that's just the way it's going to be. A little staticky today. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and put Bloomborough in the comment section because I think we're going to have some fun in the next few months with that, all right? Look at this hair. What is going on with the Mox man's hair? It's like Frizzy Town. That's all right. We're having a good day. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you tonight.